Good morning to you, everybody. Many thanks for joining the webinar of Aexis Informatica on the digital transformation journey using Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services, Data Integration Services. Before we start, maybe some governance rules for the webinar. First of all, you can use your own audio via PC or phone. And we advise that you use the full screen. You have on the slide before in front of you, you have in fact a view how you can put your screen in fact in full screen mode. This webinar will be recorded and the slides will be shared after the webinar. So let's start the webinar. Before we start, I would like in fact to introduce ourselves. So my name is Christian Pauwels. I am responsible for Aexis Benelux. I would like to invite Stef de Boete. Stef, if you can.
Good morning everyone. My name is Stef de Boete. I work for Aexis for around 20 years and have been active in the data integration area before Aexis and all the time during my career at Aexis.
Thank you, Stef. Bert, can you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning, everybody. Bert Lenders, 18 years employee at Aexis and more than 20 years experience in the world of data management in different areas, going from data warehouse to data governance and big data. And my role is a subject matter expert for the Informatica platform at Aexis.
Okay, so many thanks, Stef and Bert. As you see, we have a full agenda for the coming 60 minutes. We all know that most of the companies are walking through a digital transformation journey. And within each company, the digital transformation journey is impacting different departments and especially also the finance department. This webinar is focused on the digital transformation journey for the finance department, and especially within the finance department to data integration between source systems and target systems for planning, budgeting, forecasting, and reporting within the finance department by using Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services. We have four main elements on the agenda today. First of all, I would, in a short term, introduce Aexis and Informatica. Secondly, we would like, in fact, to have a little bit of highlight on what is in reality happening today in the preparation of the reports, the planning and the budgeting and the forecasting, getting data from the source systems. And how could we improve that process today by using Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services in part 3, where Bert will give you an online demo how Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services can work. And at the end, within 50 minutes, we will make, in fact, a wrap-up to see what we did learn to do and a call to action. So first of all, Aexis. Aexis is a company created in 1975. The brand name Aexis has been established in 1993. We do have offices in Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg, and France. The headquarters is situated in Belgium. In France, we have offices in Paris, and in Holland, we do have offices in Amersfoort, Leusden. We work with plus minus 200 colleagues over those 4 countries, and we do have all type of customers. Like you see, we have large-sized customers, we have mid-sized customers, we have small company customers. Large size, I don't have to emphasize, a company as AB InBev, a company as Eneco, a company as Proximus. Medium-sized companies, you can have Alpro, which is now part of the Piratos, part of the Danone group. You have public institutions like Belgocontrol, which is now called Skies. You have RAI Amsterdam and many other customers who make use, in fact, of Aexis products and services. If we look to Aexis, Aexis is active in 2 domains. We can say that we are active since more than 20 years in everything which is related to BI and corporate performance management for the finance department. And this means that we help the finance department in automating and improving their planning, budgeting, forecasting, reporting, consolidation process, taking into account the data integration between source systems and target systems. We also have a very important part in the BI stack for corporate performance management, but it is only limited, in fact, to the finance department. So we do have, in fact, the possibility to create all kind of dashboards, reports, and BI analysis for the finance department. As the corporate performance management process needs data, in fact, from source systems, we have a data integration process. And from the data integration process, we skip, in fact, to the second very important business activity of Aexis, which has everything to do with data management. And data management today becomes much more important than it was, in fact, even before, because much more data becomes available. So on data management, we talk about data integration, but also about master data management, about data governance, data catalog, data masking, and all other kinds of things. So we deliver products for those two activities and processes within the company, but we also deliver services. And these services, they go from A to Z. We deliver services for implementation of projects where we define together with the customer the functional analysis, the planning, the timeline, the way how we do project management, the enterprise architecture, the full development, and all other elements. But also, when the customer needs, in fact, to do a gap assessment on where is the way he would like to reach in the future, we can help the customer, especially in data integration and CPM, with the creation of a roadmap in his digital transformation journey. If we go back to the products that Aexis is implementing into the market, we have mainly actions with vendors that you can see over here. In corporate performance management, our main products that we implement are linked to IBM Planning Analytics and Cognos Controller, a German product, GDocs, and a Swiss-Italian product, Board. If we look to big data and data governance, we mainly implement products from Informatica, and we have two additional products, Manta and B4Sense, which we will not discuss today, but which could be invited for our next webinar. And the BI stack, we have experiences in cloud, Power BI, through the company, our sister company, Credon, which we acquired in 2017. But also, in fact, the Board software can deliver quite some BI facilities. And beside those four silos, we have also a full silo in corporate performance management, but then dedicated to the healthcare sector, where we have developed own IP in a full CPM program for the hospitals, in which they can automate their planning and budgeting and forecasting process in a very easy way. We also have programs which permit the hospitals to report to the government and to the public instances the daily occupation of the number of beds in the hospital, so they can receive, in fact, a subsidies. Bert, I would like, in fact, to ask that you can introduce Informatica.
Thanks, Christian. So Informatica is a company founded in '92 with a single vision. It's an American company with a single vision of providing the best possible platform, intelligent platform for data management. They started back in '92 with data warehousing. If you look today at their scope, it's still data management and still a single focus on data, but then covered by data warehousing, data integration, data governance, master data management. Since the last 10 years, they broadened the vision in the sense that they saw that cloud would be the next big thing, and that would be the next, let's say, focus point for them. It's then that they decided to provide a hybrid data cloud platform, providing all the functionalities that they had on-premise, going from integration over quality, big data to master data management, but in the cloud. So it's they provide you with a platform that can be deployed anywhere. So on-premise, in the cloud, in a public or in a private cloud. Payment is subscription or the classical perpetual licenses, and same for support. So it's a completely hybrid model. Providing you with the only and the best of breed and integrated intelligent data platform. 2 slides further, we will see that not only we say that we are the best of breed and the best in the market, also market analysts will confirm this. Also, the customers of Informatica Could you go back one slide, Christian? Also, the customers of Informatica confirm that they're the best and the market leader in their sector by providing an award in the customer success. So Informatica has the ultimate renewal rates of their customers with subscription rates or support rates. Last but not least, Informatica doesn't do the work alone. They rely on a global partner and developer network, which is quite extensive, and of which Aexis is an important partner for the Belgian market. You can go to the next slide. If we look into the cloud services, we see the importance of what data integration in the cloud can mean. Today, looking at IICS, we see an annual revenue growth of more than 50%. We see 5 trillion records a month that are treated by IICS. And you see that not only on the pure data integration or data warehousing we have a growth, there's also a growth of more than 300% in the API volume. So also IICS can be used for operational integration in the market. The number of customers is increasing every day. Today we have hit the limit or the border of 10,000 customers, and we've passed it. But one thing that's really important, IICS provides you with more than 200 connectors, meaning that it's a universal hybrid cloud solution that has a universal connectivity to basically any source of data, any sort of technology that exists in the market, and we can open up that source and link that data to your systems. You can go next slide, please. If you look at what Gartner says about Informatica, you see that having a single focus on data management pays off. You see that Informatica is each time in each of the quadrants where they're active, going from data integration over data governance, data quality, and master data management, that they're positioned as a clear leader in the upper right quadrant of Gartner, and basically they're the most upper right company in that quadrant. So also Gartner confirms that Informatica is a clear market leader with a strong vision in their market.
Okay, thank you, Bert, for that introduction. Let's come, in fact, to the real content of the webinar. Data integration. I think that most of you people who are here are finance people. So I would first like to have a little stop on, as finance people, what are our roles and what are our responsibilities? When we look in the finance department, we have different activities which request a responsibility and which request persons who fulfill that. We do have accounting, so bookkeeping, monthly closing. We have a treasurer, which makes the follow-up of the accounts payable, the accounts receivable, makes the operational cash flow, the management reporting. And we have people, if we work in a company with multiple entities, who do the consolidation, the annual closing, the quarterly, monthly closing, who manage the intercompany management, the intercompany transactions, who prepares the statutory reporting. But we also see within the transformation of the finance department to a digital world that a lot of people in finance are also actually today IT experts, I call them. Why do I call them IT experts? And especially, in fact, those roles who has a title like a controller, a finance controller, a business controller. Well, because those people, their main tool they are using today is Excel. They manage Excel in a superb way. They extract data, they create templates, they create files. And we could say that for their job, they are really Excel gurus. Now, let's have a look, in fact, on those finance IT experts, which are most of the time, in fact, controllers. What are their main activities? Well, if we put those 6 roles of responsibilities into finance and a matrix to activities, of course that we see that the accountant is making the monthly closing, he is making a consolidation, and he could be involved in mergers and acquisition talks. Of course, that the treasurer is preparing the cash flow and he's following up the accounts payable and the accounts receivable. And also he could be involved in mergers and acquisitions. But the most important group are the controllers. And controllers are split up, in fact, between business controllers and finance controllers. And if the company is large enough, you even can have a group controller. And beside this, you have the boss, which is the CFO, who manages, in fact, the whole team. Now, like you see, the controllers, they are nearly involved in all of the activities. Not always even as sharp and even in depth, but for all activities, they can be involved. The main activities in which controllers are daily occupied are related to management reporting and analysis, are related to making budgets, reporting budgets, making, in fact, forecast, reporting forecasts. And finance controllers can also be involved in mergers and acquisitions together with the group controller. But by the end, the key element that all the controllers are doing is storytelling. Why do they make a storytelling? Well, because they have a role. A business controller is to be considered as being a business partner. A financial controller is to be considered as being a business partner. A group controller is to be considered as the boss of the business partners. Why do we call that a business partner? Because the controllers have a very important added value. They understand the financial figures. They understand why those financial figures are created. They understand and they can make the link between the financial figures and the operational activities, between the financial figures and the sales activities, between the financial figures and the research and development, between financial figures and marketing activities. And it is their job to explain, in fact, to other operational departments what is the outcome of decisions taken by them and activities done by them. This is the main role of a controller in business and in finance. So, and if they can explain that, they become really a business partner. And that explanation is done by creating a story, by translating the financial figures to operational activities. And this is a storyline. So we can ask ourselves, to build that storyline, what do we do? So how do we spend our time to come up, in fact, with a monthly, a quarterly, a semestral and an annual, in fact, storytelling on what has the link between the financial figures and the activities done by operations. To do that, let's have a look, in fact, what is our main activity as a business controller. We prepare budgets, we make forecasts, we prepare the management reporting and periodic, in fact, we have an analysis and we create storytelling. But in order to be able to do that, we need also source information. And source information we can always find back into the source systems. And we are speaking here about information of activities done in the past. So we are speaking about actual figures. Those actual figures, we can find them back in different source applications. We can find them back in enterprise resource planning applications, like in SAP, like in Infor, but also in CRM applications, but also in HR applications, and of course in the general ledger, the analytical accounting, the accounts receivable, and the accounts payable applications. So the data is stored, in fact, in those 4 environments, which we could even call, in fact, today, that those are 4 separated silos. So the data that we need to build our story at the end, well, need to be extracted from those source systems. And the extraction that we are making most of the time, well, is based on a query we ask to an IT department, or as we are also becoming as a controller a little bit an Excel guru, we are able, in fact, to extract the data them ourselves from source systems in a text file or a CSV file or an XLS file. And in some cases, it is possible that you already are using a tool which can be considered as, in fact, an ETL tool. I am talking about Microsoft SSES, for example, is sometimes in use. So when we have extracted that data, the next step is that we have to use that data. And the usage of that data is not the same as the usage, in fact, of the data in the source systems. Because we capture the data and we group the data, in fact, to one central chart of accounts, to one labeling of products, to one labeling, in fact, of group accounts, to one labeling of customers, and other elements. So we do have, in fact, a transformation of the source data into reporting data, in the way how we want to look to the data, into budgeting data, in the way how data has to be budgeted and forecasted. Once we have, in fact, done that mapping and we have transformed that data, then that data will be presented in reports and templates, and we can start our analysis and we can build our storytelling. The reality shows, however, that to go through that full path and spend the time on this, that most of the time, the finance people and the finance controllers, they are occupied 80% of their time with the preparation of that data. Preparation in extracting the data, preparation in mapping the data, preparation in preparing, in fact, everything into an Excel template. And then when this is ready, then they can start looking, what does that data mean? What did we really capture? But we only have 20% time left to understand what's in the data. And it is so crucial, it is so important, in fact, that we should spend more time in building the storyline than in preparing, in fact, the storyline on the data. So as you see, what should we do? How should we spend our time? Well, what we suggest, of course, that's also the webinar, is that we use an automated tool to get the data. And this automated tool to get the data can be, in fact, Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services. And that tool will permit you in a very easy way to get it, to capture the source data on a recurrent process in a batch mode, whatever you want, to map it to the right accounts, to the right products, and to prepare it, in fact, in a central database, which can then be, in fact, accessed through an Excel interface or through a web interface or to a mobile to build your story. The main topic we are going to deal on today is not the right side. There are other webinars we are organizing on creating a central database, but is in fact in the middle. We are going to talk about Informatica. By using Informatica and by setting up a central database, well, you will receive 80% time available to build up your story. And this is in fact the real transformation, the digital transformation that still most of the companies have to go through. So how do we do this? Well, Bert is going to show you how we will do that. And I would like to first introduce a little bit a concept that you understand what is really happening. So if we look, in fact, to Informatica, you see on the left side that the finance is interacting with operations. The operations, they are working with applications like Exact, SAP FECO, SAP APO, Oracle Fusion, Excel, Salesforce, and whatever. These are sources. Finance, on the other hand, they're using Excel, or they're using maybe a tool from IBM, or maybe Jidox, or maybe Board, or maybe Anaplan. And these are called the target applications. Now, what is very important is that we understand that the source systems are most of the time organized as relational databases. The target systems are not relational databases. Most of the time, in fact, there are cubes. They have a cube database. They have an OLAP structure. So transformation needs to be done, in fact, from the relational to the OLAP structure. And that transformation is facilitated by Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services. So how does it work? First of all, we need to synchronize objects. What do we mean with objects? Well, if we look to SAP, APO, SAP, FECO, if we look, in fact, to all those elements, well, and we need, in fact, that information into a target application, our cubes, to analyze, to report, to prepare our budgets and forecasts. Well, first of all, we need a chart of accounts. Secondly, we will probably need the labeling of the products. We will also need, in fact, the numbering of the cost centers. We might also need, in fact, the labeling and the numbering of the projects. We might need even, in fact, the headcount, the name of the people. So these we can call, in fact, objects, and we can translate them as being master data. So that master data need to be synchronized, in fact, with our target system. And our target system in general, we are not master of the master data. The master data is managed, in fact, in the source applications. Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services will help you to manage, in fact, the move from the master to the slave related to the master data. So when a new record is added, when a new account is created, when a new entity is created, when a new cost center is created, that this is automatically updated in my cubes without having to having any concern that my chart of accounts is not complete, my SKU list is not complete, my headcount is not complete. No, it will always be accurate and complete when you have usage of Informatica. Now, when we have loaded these objects, those master data, well, it comes up, in fact, to a second element. This is the synchronization of the process data. So master data is linked to process data. What do we mean? Well, once we have the accounts, once we have the products, once we have the cost centers, well, we will then move volume data to the cubes, the number of pieces we have sold. We will move the number of headcounts, the people we have in the HR department, 5 people working. So that will be moved to the cube structure. And this is actual data that we are moving from the sales, from the cost center expenses, from the supply chains into our cubes. Why do we need that into our cubes? Because we are going to prepare a budget. We are going to prepare a forecast. Now, if we prepare a budget and a forecast, we need actuals as being a baseline. If we analyze, if we report, well, we need also actuals to analyze and report. But we need also the budget and the forecast on that same data to make a variance. What did we really do, where we are in the time? Now, let's focus a little bit on preparing the forecast and the budget. When I have loaded my baseline and I prepare my budget and my forecast, and I'm coming up, in fact, to my final process that everything is agreed and that we can start our working, most of the time, it is also asked that the data from the budget is pushed back to the source systems SAP. Also there, Informatica will help you to load the forecast data, to load the budget data for the sales, for the cost centers, for the supply chain into SAP APO. So this is the principle, in fact, of Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services. So it's doing, in fact, mainly 3 elements. First of all, it's a synchronization of the master data. And we have to remember that the master data, the master is, in fact, the source systems. The applications that finance are using, the cube, the OLAP environment that finance is using, is a slave, in fact, of the source systems and master data. Secondly, we replicate the data. The data on the master data is moved from one environment to another environment. And thirdly, we map the data. We make sure that if I have 10 different entities with local chart of accounts, that my data is mapped, in fact, to one group chart of accounts. So these are the 3 main components of Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services. Now, Bert, I will share my screen, in fact, with you. I will make you a host. And if it's fine for you, at that moment, we can start the demo. Bert, yep. You're the host, you can go on.
Okay, so let me share my screen. So if all goes well, you should see now again a presentation saying Informatica Cloud Local Secure Agent Architecture. If not, please shout. I would like to start to make sure that everybody understands when we talk about cloud, that there is no misunderstanding that data of a company will leave your company by using a cloud application. In fact, that's not the case when using IICS with Informatica. IICS, as said, is a hybrid cloud data integration platform, which allows you to choose where you would like to execute your data transformation jobs and where your data should reside and keep residing. As you see here on the picture, you see a picture where we combine cloud applications with on-premise applications. And so we have data in the cloud, but we also have data on-premise in our legacy systems like SAP, Oracle Fusion, even maybe a mainframe. Well, how Informatica works, IICS, is that the development part, there where the metadata is stored, your definitions, your of development, your ETL jobs, your data integration jobs, that's a part that will be in the cloud. And we'll see later that basically the only thing that you use to develop is a web interface. However, the engine on which we run will reside locally with you. Basically, the best practice that we have is the agent should reside as closest to the data as possible. As your most confidential data will probably still be on-premise in SAP data, we have the possibility of installing automatically, so you don't have to do anything, a secure agent or an engine locally on-premise within your network. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't interact with cloud applications. So depending on your technical infrastructure, we can combine cloud applications with on-premise data and load it into an on-premise CPM application. But also, if you would use a cloud CPM application, that's possible too. So we have all the flexibility there to make sure that your data is kept safe and is kept within the company and within your network. As you can see on the bottom, you see quite a lot of logos. So I'm not the only one who is saying this. Informatica and IICS has gone through a lot of certification programs, specifically on security. And as you can see, it's one of the few tools, one of the few platforms in the market who has been certified by each and every certification institute that's available for cloud applications. Now, the next slide is, what if we run everything in the cloud? If you're a cloud-only company, well, you can use Informatica Cloud as a pure cloud application in that case. So as a customer, you always have the choice of using an engine on-premise, close to your data, or use an engine in the cloud with Informatica, and then your data will be treated with all the security that we're used of in the cloud itself. Now let's go to the application itself. You should still see now. You should now see a web interface and a sort of dashboard. Basically, this is the entrance page of. If you go to Informatica Cloud Services and you select data integration, basically what you see, and you see the proof over here of my statement in the last slide. I have here an Informatica Cloud hosted agent, which is up and running. So that's running with Informatica in the States. But I also have an engine running here on my laptop. And that's the one that we will use for the demo. Now I've prepared two small demos. One is what we call a synchronization task. So Christian has been talking about synchronizing master data from your source applications into your CPM applications. Well, we'll show you here with the synchronization task that you can do this in a simple 6-step approach. So if you open it and we go in an edit mode, you see the 6 steps. So the first step is definition. Basically giving it a name. But the most important thing is that you need to do here is choosing an operation. In 99% of your cases, it will be an upsert, which basically means that you both support synchronization of existing records and new records. There's an availability to choose, that you say, I only want to have new records. I only want to update existing ones. But in most cases, we will select both of them. Next step is, as you can see, is source. And don't take the delay too high or too serious. I'm running on a North American instance, so that can be taking a little bit more time in latency. Most of the customers of ours run in the European data centers. Now, if you look at the source, basically what you need to do is you have to define your source. You start with a connection. I only have 2 connections for a moment, flat file connections and an Oracle database. However, if you look at new, you can see that you can define many other connections. I have a subset of the connections that are available. As explained in the beginning of the slides, Informatica has connectors to more than 200 systems. So basically, depending on your license and depending on your needs, you will have a longer list here in the checkbox. So let's stick for the local file for now. It's a relatively easy file. It's an old file from a P&L, which just writes down all the P&Ls with an ID and a line name and a schedule name. As you can see, you can preview the data in the tool very interactively. If we go next to the next, basically we have to define the target. In my example, in the target, I select an Oracle database. And when you select an Oracle connection, basically you have to select your table, which we do, schedule P&L. And as you can see, the table for now is empty. In step 4, we can add data filters. So we have a row limit. If you would like to try out, you can say, I'm not going to process all my millions of rows, but I only want to test the process with a few hundred of records. Or you can add a more functional filter. You can say, I only want to have, let's say, product types for plant in Germany. That's something that you could add here in a data filter. So you can make a sub-selection of the data that you want. Step 5 is the most important one. And as you can see, it's predefined, but basically if you would develop it, this would be the screen that Informatica IICS would present you. IICS comes with Claire, which is the artificial intelligence engine of Informatica, and they do an automatic fuzzy matching on column names and data types to see how we can match source with the target. Now, that's done already. You see it with the green arrows. You also see that here there's an expression behind every target field. And basically, today, the expression is just simply naming your source column. But you could go further. You could say, okay, in the description, I would like to do a concatenation of multiple fields, and that's possible too. So what you could do over here, you could add an expression into the field, and you could, in that way, you could start transforming your data in a simple way. Let's stick to the very simple example now, but as you can see, in 5-6 steps, you can read data from basically any source, going from SAP to mainframe and cloud applications like Salesforce.com or even the boards and the Anaplan in this world. And you can write it into a target and do some basic transformations. In the last step, it's a step that I'm not using a lot, but in operational circumstances, this is basically one of the most important ones. You can choose if you would like to run this task just on an ad hoc basis, or you could say, okay, I want to schedule this task and I want to make sure that my master data or my data that I need to synchronize is synchronized on a daily, weekly, even hourly, or scheduled every 15 minutes. That's all done over here. Now we click finish. We've done the 6 steps. The only thing left is we have to run the application. Once you push the run button, in my jobs, which is the monitoring part of the application, you will always see what's going on your system. Today it's very simple. There's also a filter over here saying, okay, we would only want to see the jobs with this name. And as you can see, the job is successful and has loaded 272 records. Now, if we would go into the technical details and we open up the session log, you would see that below you can see that the job has inserted 271 records and it updated 1 record. And might surprise you, but I did this deliberately. There's 1 duplicate record in there. So as you can see, so we had a double record in there, but as you can see, the tool is doing it correctly, is inserting 271 records, and is, if required, is doing the update on an existing record. What we can do now, and the second step, is we can open the file. I think I have it open over here, yeah. And we can add a schedule line. Suppose we just copy it, and we add it. I give it a new unique ID. It's the 12th. Let's change this one to the 10th. We save this, and we run the job again. If all goes well, you should see now that there will be one record extra. All the existing ones will be updated. That's the, let's say and there we go. We already processed 273 records. If we open the log again, and we go down again, you will see, okay, we inserted one additional row, and we did an update of 272 records. So as you can see, this is how simple a synchronization of master data can be. It can be built by virtually everyone. There is no technicality whatsoever to be done. You only need to know where the data is, and it can be scheduled and automated in any way. Now, as you can see, it's only a synchronization of one single task, of one single table or one single source. In some cases, we need to do things that are a little bit more complex. Suppose we need to combine data from multiple tables into one target. Well, in that case, we can create a mapping task at Informatica. And a mapping is basically a little bit more complex, but it still opens a visual workspace in which you can build your ETL flow or your data integration flow from source to target in a very visual way. The only thing that you need to do is, by using the transformation components that you have here on the left-hand side, you have to build a drawing, like I did over here. And basically, step by step, you build a drawing in the sense of, okay, we start with my source. What's my source? In this case, it's my customer table in my Oracle database. I have a second source with my orders in my Oracle table, and I would like to join them. And how would I like to join them? Well, I join them on customer ID. And in this case, it's the cust ID, which is equal to customer ID. And then as a final step here, the only thing I would like to do is I would like to add a calculation, a calculated field, which in this case is sales value, which is unit sales multiplied by price per unit. But as you can see, the way you build this is very easy. It's very visual, it's very intuitive. Just by understanding the functionalities of the left-hand side, all the technical complexity is taken away by the tool, and you just have to focus on basically the functional thing. What do we need to do, or what do we want to do with the data? Basically, this is something that you would, if you want to do it in Excel, to take a lot of steps already to combine multiple sheets to make sure that your formulas are right. Well, here it goes very easy. If we run this again, you will see that there, yes, we want to save this. You will save that. In this case, we read from Oracle, and we will write into in a flat file. And here you see it again. So he's asking me, what's my runtime environment for the mapping? And I'm deliberately choosing my own laptop. But as you can see, suppose that we would have, let's say, Salesforce on the one hand side and Workday on the other side, then it would be perfectly making sense to choose the cloud-hosted agent. Be aware the data that's passing by the Informatica Cloud Host agent is always encrypted, and so it's a very secure system. The only thing is, you use an agent in that case that's closest to the data. So let's take my engine. We run the mapping. And again, this mapping today, we run it ad hoc. There is also a functionality that can be foreseen to make sure that this is scheduled, that this runs in an automated daily way or hourly way. So again, you can fully automate the things that you have created, experimented with, but you can push it into a more operational field. And as you can see, we have 316 records loaded. Just to prove you, over here, this is the file. If we open it in Excel, you will see that we have order data here, customer data over here, and at the end, we have our calculation, the sales value. So this is the way that you could use. These are two simple examples in which you can use IICS to build up a data integration step yourself without really needing a lot of IT knowledge or a lot of IT expertise to get your data from one side to another in a accurate way. So your data will always be accurate, your master data will always be up to date, and you're sure of the quality of your reporting and your actuals that you have in your final system. So that's it for me for the demo. Christian, I think I can give the word back to you.
You need to make me again the host.
Yeah. Let's make host. Yes, so that's done. So
Okay.
I'm stopping the share of my screen.
Okay. I believe that you see my screen now.
Yep, I do.
Okay. So many thanks, Bert, for this very educative presentation. We will send you, like you see, the screenshots and the presentation afterwards. We have 5 minutes to go. So let's make a quick wrap up. What did we learn today? So I think it is very important that we have seen what Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services can do for you. So please remember that it is an online synchronization of data and master data. Secondly, it can map, in fact, all your data into the structures you would like to use for your management reporting, for your budget, and for your forecast. Okay, which means, and many companies are struggling with this, if you have multiple chart of accounts and you need that, bring that back into a group, into one central reporting schedule, well, Informatica can easily help you to structure this mapping to that one schedule. Once this is set up, you don't have to bother anymore. It is automatically run each time, in fact, you need your report. And of course, it replicates data and master data. So Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services is a long-term solution you can use. Our customers working, in fact, with integration products from Informatica in the cloud or on-premise, they're using them already for more than 5 to 10 to 20 years. What is very important also, as it is long-term, that Informatica has actually today 200 connectors to all kind of source systems, and those source systems and those connectors are growing. It's a sustainable solution. It's not only once you have used it, in fact, for finance, you can also use it, in fact, for other processes within your company. For example, when you have sales reporting, in-depth sales analysis, not necessarily mastered by finance. And by the third point, it is an integration for databases in the cloud, but also, in fact, it can serve a full hybrid architecture into your company. If you would like, in fact, to play once with it, to have a view on that, please register yourself and try to download a trial account. So you have the link below, and you can use it to have, in fact, your own view on the software. So customers actually using it today in healthcare. We do have a hospital, Mastro, and construction, the Van Nieuwe Group, Nieuwpoort Group. We have in Maersk in transport, and I think that you all know, in fact, in utilities, a company as Inico. So what could you do now today? So our suggestion is that please have a look internally in your company, in your finance department. How do you really load today your data and master data from source to targets? And how much time do you spend on this? So in order that you still believe and still remain the business partner. And this means that you can, in fact, explain to the business what is really happening and the consequences of their activities done, and what kind of decisions need to be taken to continue, to improve, or to stop certain elements. A third element is that when you have an understanding how you work today, how much time, in fact, you spent on this, ask yourself the question, when the way you work today, how confident do you feel with the quality of the data once it has been loaded in your source system and from the target system? And what I mean here is that when you extract data from your source systems and you put it into your Excel template into another target system, do you feel really confident? Do you really feel comfortable that the data is okay? So that you are sure that nothing is missing, that all the data can be reconciled between source and target system. If you have answered those 3 bullets, make a gap assessment between how it works today and how, in fact, you would like that it works tomorrow. Set up a plan and a business case to realize your to-be situation, and ask a systems of Aexis to challenge and validate your business case. I think Aexis is a Gold Informatica partner for many years. We have in Belgium the largest group of consultants with expertise in the tool. We can deploy the tool, we can maintain the tool, we can help you, in fact, in your business cases and implementation. Having this information, I would like to thank you. I would like to thank you to have joined us into that webinar. If you have any questions, I would like that you refer back to Stef de Boete, which is in fact our main responsible for Informatica. And then have a nice day. Many thanks. See you. Bye-bye.